Hey guys,
What's
welcome
up?
to the show.
Guys, welcome to the SonsOfVidya show. It's our fabless video podcast.
So the SonsOfVidya, almost an hour.
Guys, this is a different week for us. Trying something new.
See if you can tell.
You guys surely can tell that it's a remote broadcast.
I am hacking in from the computers.
Yeah, D MARX is in Antarctica. He's half computer now. Only the Arctic Circle can cool his motherboards. That's what I hear. But, yeah.
Sorry, that was my best computer noise.
It's pretty good. Pretty much really
Thanks,
good.
I appreciate that. Thanks,
So anyway.
Thank you. I work really hard.
Did you work really hard on it?
The hardest.
Okay. Well, guys, anyway, we're seeing how it works. Should be fun. But we're here for another week of excitement for you.
Guys, it's almost the end of January, which means that 2014 is officially still here. Hasn't gone away.
Hasn't gone anywhere, guys.
Nothing's changed.
Still just as 2014 as it was a couple weeks ago.
If you can even believe that.
Has the year been good to you guys? It's getting better, is it? You can tell me. What you don't know is this new broadcast is we can hear you now too, guys.
Yeah, that's part of it. That's a big part of
If you're
it.
listening on an iPhone, we can see you through the camera whenever we choose to, and also we have access to the microphone. So that's that. Enjoy your privacy while you can, guys, because it's gone. I'm taking it from you.
Well, now that we're affiliated with the government.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
By the way,
we're
guys,
gonna hear all of the thoughts.
if you ever have a business deal the CIA comes up to you and they're like, "Hey, do you guys want to work with us for like a business deal?" Always take it. Just always take it, because it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what they want you to do.
Just take it. It's free money. It's money in the bank. Anyway, guys, we do a video game show. I'm sorry. What is up about video games this week?
This week, not a whole much time. I did have some questions for you.
I had some questions for you.
That's great. I'm glad we have questions for each other.
I'm also glad we have questions.
It keeps the relationship exciting, I think.
I think so too.
Anyway.
Remember
a while back when we were talking, I think we talked about it on the show actually. Remember a while back when we were watching like that one, there was a Japanese guy at some panel and he was asking about like and it was a bunch of like the indie devs.
Oh yeah, we totally talked about how much we hate Phil Fish.
Oh yeah, that was that guy's name.
Yeah, that guy was a big jerk. I remember it quite well.
Yeah, that guy was a pretty ginormous jerk.
I don't want to say knob job, but I'm saying knob job.
That's fair. What's the thing I use? Oh, Fuddy Duddy. That's my new one, guys.
Listen, Fuddy Duddy, I feel like it's too multifaceted as an insult.
Dude, that's the key of it, though.
Initially, I thought it was to refer to something old-fashioned. Now I think it's just to refer to anything. Which,
I don't see the problem here.
You're right. You're 100% right. And I'm wrong.
Well, I appreciate you being man enough to admit that. Anyway, my question, because guys, in case you don't remember, this Japanese guy, apparently he was kind of like an indie dev in Japan, or like he worked for a company or something, but he worked in video games in Japan.
Ace Combat games?
Oh, maybe.
He did something.
But he was asking about how what Japanese games influenced the devs, and Phil Fish was like, none of them, they're all terrible, and you should feel bad.
I'm so smart because I bought these glasses at a store.
Do you like my fedora that I got at Turkey Hill?
Hold on. Do you kids love Fez? It's real original. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Well, my question is that, do you think in the future... Well, okay, let me start again. In the future, where do you think...
robots? Of course we will.
Well, yeah, naturally.
It's a no-brainer.
That's not a question. I didn't feel the need to ask that because obviously.
Yeah, sorry.
Now, I was wondering where do you think like the throne of video game development is going to be in the next like couple of years? Because we all know the video games start in Japan.
That's a no-brainer.
Probably.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, they were competing, and there was American stuff, and there's a bit of American creators, but like Japanese games were like the classics.
Yeah, because that's where you have your Pac-Man, your Donkey Kong, all that junk.
Is Atari a Japanese company?
That's a very good question. I will find out for you momentarily.
Yeah, I have a feeling it was not.
No.
Okay, totally
It
was not.
was.
It is from a Japanese verb.
Yeah, I thought that was weird too.
Well, okay, we all know that they were kind of competing, but the Japanese market made probably the most money. Is that?
Well, yeah, especially once Nintendo started hitting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
We're guys. Don't overlook how clearly unprepared we are with these fact things.
but
'Cause
but
oh boy.
but then kind of starts getting to the point where America was starting to make some headway, especially with the especially once we started to start developing our own things like well, mostly through computers,
Yeah.
PC gaming. That's really where American companies took hold. Early companies like Sierra and what's that other one? Like LucasArts.
Hmm.
They made those old point and click adventures that everybody loves, and they're very popular. And I feel like really the baton is kind of being passed to American devs, but I don't know how you feel about that, Tom.
I don't know because I know what you're saying, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I feel about it because you might remember a while back in my heyday, I had a PS3, right? And I
Yes.
specifically bought it. Heyday meaning last year, by the way. I specifically bought it
Hey,
because
meeting before you were robbed.
before I was robbed. There was a lot more Japanese games that were developed for the PS3 than there were for the 360 for whatever reason. Even though the 360 is pretty popular over there too. But I bought it because there was more Japanese games. There's more like what are they called?
Exclusives?
Nippon Ichi
Oh.
games. There's a lot of Japanese devs that make exclusively for PS3. Like Atlas makes more games for PS3 than they did for that. And I found that even though I've been playing a bunch of American games, I still enjoy Japanese games probably more. And I think it's for a bunch of reasons. I was actually going to bring it up later, and I still might. But I think that they just have a different approach to game making that I don't know if the throne is going to change, but I think that they still get it more over there. I don't know. I feel like because of the way American business is run, maybe Americans have like made it more efficient to make games a certain way, and that's why
Yeah,
we
well,
get more of them.
yeah. Especially anytime a big business gets involved, there's always going to be that level of I'm going to call mass production.
Yeah.
You know, they want to make the most profitable product that they can. So you see games like Call of Duty and like Madden games that come out every year with slight tweaks, but they don't have to put they don't have to put a lot of money in, especially because they own all the assets from the earlier games. So, you change the roster a little bit. You put a new guy on the cover who's going to get his leg broken in like 2 seasons or whatever. I don't remember what the curse is on Madden games, but I know that I think there is one.
Oh, anyone on the cover of Madden turns into a frog. But
Oh,
the thing
yeah.
is, there's just like I know what you're saying, but it's definitely you see a lot more. You see a lot less inspired titles American made, and I think there's just more of a game making craft in Japan still, because like Americans, their goal is to make money on these things a lot of times. Like the indie developers here, they're trying to make a fun game, but like mainstream games are trying to make money. Whereas
Yeah.
you can have mainstream games by like Square, and they're still going to take risks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's true to an extent. Obviously, indie devs, which I feel indie gaming is a lot more of an American product than it is a Japanese one.
Well,
Very
there's some pretty popular or pretty famous Japanese indie games like Cave Story is Japanese.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's still I feel like you're probably right. I mean, the thing is, it might be just what we've heard of though. 'Cause
Yeah,
maybe
and we
we're
are
not hearing
we are
about all the
coming from
Japanese indie games because we can't speak Japanese.
yeah, we're definitely coming from an Anglophile kind of view.
Yeah.
There's no question about that. But as far as you know us guys, we're not huge indie gamers. I like
Some games have
FTL.
gotten lucky when we played it.
Yeah,
That's what I would say.
I mean, here's the thing: if you make a fun game, regardless of whether or not it's a big AAA release, or you make it, or it's just an indie game, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to play it.
yeah.
But the indie games that I've played, very few and far between have I been like, holy crap, this game is awesome. FTL notwithstanding, because obviously FTL is awesome, and I do say it like that every time.
I mean, yeah. I don't know how FTL nails it so hard, dude. When does that expansion come out? Do we remember that?
No, I haven't seen any release dates for it. It's supposed to come out this year.
I thought it was supposed to come out early this year.
I mean, I think it's Q1, but that's a broad net.
That is a broad net.
Broad net.
Is that the expression? Broad net?
A wide net?
That's sounding better.
No, it's a Skynet.
Okay. Dude,
Yeah, sorry.
also, I was trying to figure this out. Guys, we're recording over Skype. Here's my question. Skype is a combination of two words, sky and type. Is that it? Is that what they used to call phone calls back in the day? Sky typing? I still get it.
Perhaps.
I just don't... Whatever.
Well, it might be actually sound and Kaipi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. I really didn't think of that.
Well,
anyway.
that's what I'm here for.
I appreciate that. But anyway, well, I don't know if I don't know if it's going to change. I mean, I feel like we're working in combination with Japanese developers still.
Well, the thing of it is that like if you ask your average frat bro, what kind of games they're playing, I don't think those people are. I don't think your average American consumer is playing a lot of Japanese games, with the exception of like Mario and stuff.
Yeah.
So that makes me wonder how the market's going to shift in the future.
I feel like you always say frat guys, and frat guys might not be the appropriate term, because I don't think anyone in a frat's getting together for Mario night.
No, but that's a big market because it's that kind of college age disposable income young adult that ends up buying a lot of games.
That's true. Yeah.
And no, maybe frat boy is not the most. I'm not even sure what the word I want to use, but it's not the most correct term I could be using. But that is a big part of that market.
You say adolescence. That's a thing.
Well, adolescence. It's actually older than adolescence. I'm talking young adult.
Okay, forget it. The point is, I mean they're not.
Sorry to word you like that.
I know. I got syntaxed. They're not playing those games as right. That's 100% true. American games are just geared towards Americans, which is why I think that probably there's Japanese games that are geared towards Japanese audiences that we don't know about at all.
Yeah, there's no question about that. But then you take a look from the example of how many people in Japan are buying video games compared to how many people in America are buying video games.
And do you think more people in Japan are?
No, I think more people in America are because there's more people in America, period. So I think the market over here is bigger.
So are you trying to suggest that because we're buying more games that perhaps perhaps not only will we be the center of video games, but like video games as a whole will always be geared more towards American audiences? ?
Well, it's the way that I don't know if you know this, but it's the way that textbooks are printed for public schools. They only print one version to give to most people. So, like states like Texas have a disproportionately large amount of say about what goes into school books.
Is that true?
Because
I never heard this.
Yeah, because school book companies are only going to print one edition, so they go with the edition that will be accepted with the widest amount of teachers, and the widest amount of teachers are in states like Texas. Therefore,
that's crazy.
Yeah. So what you're saying is it kind of reminds me of that in a way. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
We should change the show to facts about education system because I'm seriously learning a lot today.
Dude, what? I just heard that on the SYSK, the Revisionist History podcast.
Dude, that was a great episode. Sorry,
it really was.
We shouldn't talk about this, guys. Go listen to Stuff You Should Know. It's really good. We're basically stuff you should know about video games, except without any facts.
Without facts, humor,
entertaining hosts,
sponsors.
Good. That's really true. I was gonna make up fake sponsors for this episode, but we're just gonna keep plugging Skype until they start paying us, I guess. Anyway,
that sounds like a pretty good idea.
Yeah, it'll happen one of these days. So I mean, whatever. It's not a problem. Whoever makes the fun games makes the fun games, But yeah, definitely, I mean, that's why indie stuff has picked up so much, is because they don't like the games that are being geared towards American audiences, No,
there's no question about that. But you always have to wonder, like, you don't kind of want to see mainstream, and it already is happening. But you don't want to see mainstream gaming turn into mainstream cinema,
Explain.
Mainstream cinema sucks.
I meant for the audience. Explain.
Okay, guys. So, like, I'm sure it goes. Those of you who listen to the show don't buy into this kind of stuff because you're, at least somewhat educated people. But you got the people who are going out to like see Jack and Jill and like Grown Ups 2 and other Adam Sandler movies. Sorry, I'm picking on Adam Sandler for some reason. But like, they go to.
It's because Jack and Jill was a hilarious thing. Does people actually see that movie?
No, that was a total bomb.
Okay, good. It was.
But Grown Ups 2,
It was
Grown Ups
supposed
2
to be.
made a ton of money for no reason.
Yeah, I don't know who saw that. I think it was probably just out at the right time.
Yeah, probably. But point is, you got people who go see these movies and like these movies, and it then warrants more of those movies being made. And nobody wants that because those movies are all terrible.
Yeah. I mean, that's also part of the whole economic situation, too.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I understand that at the end of the day, video games are supposed to be just like a fun distraction. They're supposed to be games. You know, not everything has to have a social commentary. Not everything has to have a message. But if it gets to the point where nobody is making games that aren't at least a little thought provoking, then I think gamers are in trouble with a Z.
I mean, there's no question about that. But you know, unfortunately, we have to sit here and take it as journalists.
Yeah, we have to be the silent observers, the silent chiefs.
We have to be Batman of sorts, and just be the heroes that it doesn't need, but also doesn't want and doesn't get. Is that what Batman did?
Dude, I feel like if you were a Dark Souls cover band, I feel like you would be the Silent Chiefs.
Of course you would. There's not even a question about that. You'd be covering all their classic songs, like that one song that plays in the forest, or ambient sounds in a jail.
That sounds great. That sounds great.
It would be a pretty long set. I don't know. Whatever. It always makes you feel like maybe you should become a developer yourself, just so you can make a difference. But I don't know. I don't know how anyone does it these days.
It's a whole thing. Like I said, guys, I understand. Video games for games. They're for babies. They're for children. But like you gotta
children
have
and babies.
Yeah, you gotta have. They're for baby children.
Of course.
But you know, there has to be something there.
But it's a growing medium that's growing with the adults who played it as kids, and now there's serious discussion about this kind of thing.
Yeah, it's the way. I've made this comparison many times on the show, but I will make it again because I think it's apt right now. Just kind of like the way that the early days of cinema was not very accepted as a legitimate art form, and then as the years went on and more of these masterpieces were made, you know, landmarks of culture were made and put to film, it obviously became more and more accepted. And I think like video games, hopefully, will be able to achieve something similar to that.
Yeah, it's definitely something that everyone's like looking forward to in the future, but everyone's not really sure if or when it'll happen.
Well, I think it's something else that we have to talk about. I don't know why we're rehashing all this stuff, but it seems it's all applying to this conversation. I think I think a big part of it also has to do with something that we talked about on the show, which is this environment of negativism. That
negativity is the word you're looking for.
Negativism is a word, I'm pretty
sure.
Why
not negativity? It's also a noun.
Well, because I like saying negativism.
Okay. I'm not so sure it's a word there, Mr. Writer Man.
I feel like it's a word.
All right, we'll coin it under your dictionary.
There we go.
If we don't make up words, we'll never get new ones.
In this environment of negativity, you know, it's so easy for people to poo-poo even like great things that are obviously good, and they're just trying to be sticklers or they're trying to be contrarians, and it's just like, no way, FTL sucked because the graphics are terrible. And those are the kind of people you want to push down flights of stairs.
And people have pushed down flights of stairs.
Several flights of stairs.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's a whole thing.
I mean, that's just a problem with journalism in general right now, but there's nothing we can do about that.
It's not even journalism. It's just like people being stoops.
Well, the truth is that we have too many people and we need to start using Hitler-style eugenics and stuff. Right? Can I get a 2 times Tuesday?
I think you're on your own on this one.
We'll see you guys after the break.
Sorry, guys. Guys, welcome back.
Wow. What an exciting first half, guys.
Can you believe that it's only half over? Or that
so
it's
excited.
Already half over? I'm not sure which is less believable.
Just email us in which is less believable, okay?
Well, write your congressman and tell him which part you think is more or less believable.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
Guys, don't be stupid. Just do it.
We're involved with the government.
We told you guys. We can see through your phones. It's great. So anyway.
I don't remember actually telling them that part. I remember saying that we could hear them.
Dude, I said I could look through their cameras. I mean, maybe you can't, but I sure can.
That's
so far,
fair.
it's been really great. I got to be honest. It's been, like, really great. You might want to get in on this, because you wouldn't believe the things people are doing while they're listening to this podcast.
Oh, I'll bet.
They're all, first of all, I'll tell you this, 100% of them are always accessing their bank accounts. So that's great for me financially.
That sounds right.
Yeah. 2, they're all adjusting their bubs. Those sweet baps. Oh, yeah. Anyway, whatever. Here's my question to you. I was just thinking about this recently because I was watching somebody play, what was it, Donkey Kong Country.
DK Country, as we call it.
Yeah. And they're talking about how one of the big parts of the games, of the whole series, was that there was a lot of secrets in the game. A lot of secrets.
Yeah.
And the more I thought about it...
Well, I remember some of the best secrets in Donkey Kong Country for me, when I used to play it back when I was a youngster. There was the one time you found out who killed Mr. Body. That was really exciting.
Listen, I don't know your jokes here. I don't even know who that is. Is that a Doctor Who reference?
No, it's a Clue reference.
It is?
Board game up, son.
His name was Mr. Body in that?
Yeah.
I always thought it was the Clue Man.
No, the victim in Clue is Mr. Body.
Dude, this is gonna save me on Jeopardy one day.
Dude, yeah, King's Quest, that knowledge.
Guys, in case you don't know what King's Quest means, it means when you have something and you put it away, something you think would never be useful, and you put it away in case one day it comes up in the most unnecessary way possible. It's a term I'm working on here. Anyway, so there's a game with a lot of secrets, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is,
like Donkey Kong's a racist. Oh, sorry.
Well, yeah, as a monkey, of course he is. There's not a non-racist monkey. The thing is, the more I try and think about it, the less games nowadays really have secrets. Like, it used to be that everything was secrets. Like, in order to keep gameplay, the replay time on games, there'd be a million secrets for people to discover, and, like, some things would just be there'd be no way you'd figure it out, you know?
Yeah, secrets are like Easter eggs or all that junk.
Yeah, and it would always be something it'd be a lot of fun when you're replaying it and you find something that you weren't expecting. Games nowadays, like your 3D, Mario 3D Land or your whatever like that, you know what I mean? These games, I think they feel less full and less fun, and I'm going to say it generally, because they're missing these kind of secrets. And I don't know if it's because the internet exists and you discover secrets right away, but I really feel like there's just less focus on them now, just because people like, maybe companies think that since people can look it up, they won't care about this kind of stuff. But I feel like it's a really important part of early games was discovering this kind of things. Is there any kind of secret that you remember from your childhood that you either found or that you remember very clearly?
That's a good question, Tom.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, I always remember, as far as like Easter eggs and stuff goes, I remember back when I was a young lad. I got my one year for Christmas. My mom got me and my brother, or maybe just me, I don't remember. But she got us like a big set of like Star Wars, like an anthology of like Star Wars games, and they were like, for the most part, games I'm not sure anyone's ever heard of before.
Really?
But like they're like X-Wing and TIE Fighter. I'm not sure if those are titles that are really popular or anything like that.
I don't know.
But I remember playing Star Wars X-Wing, which is like obviously a fighter sim.
Yeah.
And it was around Christmas time, like I said, and there's a little Santa in the lobby, and it made me laugh. And he was waiting for people.
Dude, just recently we played Rogue Legacy, and there's a Santa flying in the background because it's winter.
Yeah, I thought that was funny too.
Yeah, that was actually an Easter egg because of what time of the year it was.
Also, we thought we saw an Easter egg in Borderlands. I was in Moxie's bar. There was like some ribbons and whatnot.
Yeah, it was like a Christmas-themed bar all of a sudden.
Yeah, not confirmed.
All the beers
not
were
confirmed.
Like... No, not confirmed. All the beers were red and green, so it's a good chance. Like the one that I always remember, I know it's not really it's a secret, it is. But like I can remember most of the cheat codes from Age of Empires 2.
Yeah,
like all the memories of summoning the Cobra that had machine guns on it.
Well, I still remember part of that pack, that Star Wars pack. It came with a demo for the game Dark Forces, which is a game that people had heard of, and I remember all the cheat codes for that. Typing those in because as I mentioned before, guys, I was a notorious cheater back in the day in my checkered video game past.
Checkered video game past.
Checkered video games past. I was a notorious cheater. I remember, dude, back when we were doing the Suns fight for Crash Team Racing. I remember all the shortcuts and all the tracks.
Yeah,
and I used them to my advantage to win.
I mean, that's a big part of why games like Mario Kart and that kind of game are good, is because people who didn't have very many games as kids would be replaying these games nonstop, and so like it actually having secrets to discover was something they would do. I feel like now that kids are gonna blast through games fast, there's just not as many secrets.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but games from the past always seemed a lot more replayable than. I think that's a conscious effort, really.
Yeah,
because
I think so too.
Because you go out, you had your PlayStation, you had your PlayStation, and you went out and you bought your Crash Team Racing, and you spent what, $30? Is that how much PS games cost back in the day?
I don't know. I assume it was like $150, but that was like fake, non-real money.
It was Monopoly money, yeah.
Yeah.
So you spent your $150 of Monopoly money after you passed Go to get your allowance. And, dude, did you ever play the kids' version of Monopoly? Sidebar?
Is there a kids' version of Monopoly?
Yeah.
I thought all Monopoly was kids' Monopoly.
No, there's Monopoly Junior, where, it's like the whole thing is like an amusement park. So you buy, roller coasters and stuff. Hold
on, can we go back? So is that implying that regular Monopoly is adult Monopoly?
Yeah.
So that game was developed for adults to play.
I think so. It's well, if you think about the proper rules of Monopoly, it's pretty. It's not for small children.
For some reason, I always assumed that every board game was made for children.
What about Russian Roulette, the board game?
That's okay. I don't know how the board game plays, but the original version was very much for children.
Nah, that's probably true. Yeah. Dude, I wouldn't say Risk is a kid's game.
Children played it.
Children played it, but I'm not sure that is its market.
I don't know. I don't think any board game is made for adults except for new games now like Catan or whatever. Even that I think is for young.
I would say Catan's made for kids. Catan's for kids.
I don't know how Catan plays, man. But those I always assume board games were for kids. I can't imagine there's an adult audience for board games.
Well, I think back before video games there were.
Actually, Trivial Pursuit's an adult game.
Yeah, that's true.
Like Balderdash, those kind of. All right, I don't know which side.
Those are more party games.
Yeah, those are party games.
Balderdash is at least not Trivial Pursuit.
I don't know. I mean, Connect 4 is a pretty adult game if you put the pieces in the right places too.
Well, yeah. If you sometimes we connected 5, that was a big thing.
Well, I played with my one friend. We always tried to make the sweetest boobs we could. In that regard, it was a very adult game.
It sounds very adult.
Yeah. Anyway, that was, if you want to be honest, that was a secret of Connect 4 is that you could draw boobs. You know how it is. But anyway.
Dude, that's like the calculator of board games.
It's 100% true. That's what we always used to call Connect 4. Connect 4 was secretly a math game. It taught you all about it.
I think it secretly was somehow.
You had to count to 4, which involved a lot of math.
Yeah. No, but what was I talking about before Monopoly Junior?
You're talking about Monopoly for kids.
Oh, right. Yeah, sorry. So you spent your Monopoly money on your Crash Team Racing.
Yes, nice.
And and then you played it for like 1,000,000 hours. You never stopped. You unlocked everything. You beat all the modes with all the dudes. Because here's a stupid thing, and I'm not sure how right I am, but I feel like it's right, so obviously I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
Those games were a lot more brightly colored. They were much more pleasant to look at for extended periods of time.
Okay, that I think is true, but for different reasons.
But because think about it. If you play a game like Crash Team Racing, that's like looking at candy for 12 hours at a time. You're like, this is candy for my eyeballs.
Candy for my eyeballs.
Eyeballs. But then let's go play a game like Deus Ex, and while Deus Ex
that's
is
not
great,
a fair comparison, though.
if you play a game like Deus Ex is a great game, and we love Deus Ex, but that's like dark and it's like neon-y, and it's like it's good. They're good graphics and everything, but like I wouldn't necessarily go out of my way calling it pleasant to look at, you know?
Well, it's great if you love the color orange, but
or brown.
Yeah, well, that's not a fair comparison because one of those games for kids, and if you played a game like Mario Kart 7, or if you played like New Mario World, whatever the new one for Wii U is, that game's almost too colorful and it makes you want to kill yourself.
Well, that's a good call too. That there can be too much of a good thing.
But like children's games definitely are still colorful. That hasn't changed.
Well, yeah, I wasn't trying to say that they totally weren't changed, but like I'm talking from as far as like when you were a kid to growing up to being an adult. Because like even oh, sorry, my voice cracked a little bit there.
Yes, seriously, you turned to Urkel there.
Yeah, even like Dynasty Warriors. That's a pretty colorful game.
It's
like those games are
colorful,
like
yeah.
They're colorful. They have pretty dynamic like maps and stuff. The characters are all very flamboyant looking in their design. So it's like it gives your eyes something to do, which I think is very important to replayability of a game. The aesthetics of it.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that. Sorry, I didn't mean to get you off.
Go on.
But I think it's another reason why I like FTL so much, because aesthetically that game is very pleasing to me.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those games where we talked about how people who try making retro games and they try doing it in that 8-bit or 16-bit style, they're like, well, back in the day they just made stick figures and they all look terrible. Whereas FTL was like, yeah, they used pixels, but like the pixels were supposed to look like things and not supposed to look like crap.
Yeah.
So like the little pixel dudes, they look good, and you're like, yeah, little pixel guys. Ooh. But like that's aesthetically pleasing to me, and it's something that doesn't get bored to look at. We talked about this also for Civ 5, especially once Brave New World comes out. That game's like looking at candy.
Yeah. So you're saying that games that are more colorful make you want to, or have longer replayability?
I think that your desire to play them again is greatly increased.
That might be true.
Because while I love games like, and I think that's one of the reasons why I like the setting in Fallout 3 a little more than Fallout New Vegas, because I feel like in Fallout 3 the environments were, and while they're both bleak, post-apocalyptic, blah 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 blah, but like you remember places like Rivet City and Megaton and just the DC ruins, and they were kind of colorful even though they were devastated. Whereas in New Vegas, except for the Strip, everything else was mostly brown and deserty, and not that was bad, because that's obviously the environment of the game. But just in Fallout 3, it was just a little more. There was a little more going on visually.
I don't know how much I agree with that. It was mostly. I think that was a pretty gray game. Whatever. I don't know how many people would agree with that. But here's my question. So is it assumed now by game like developers that kids are going to naturally get more games than they would have back in the day?
Yeah, I think so. I think you have a lot of developers who have the idea that once kids aren't going to go back,
Yeah, because they're not going to replay a game like they used to.
Yeah, because we have a very disposable society. That's why I don't know why this is such like a weird like social commentary episode, but that's what it's turning into. But that's why you see a lot of cases that, like, generally the repair, like any kind of repair industry is going to decline because people don't get stuff repaired anymore. They just buy new things.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with video games where it's like, you beat a game one time and then you go play a new game. You don't go back and play it again because the selection is much bigger and, parents might be a little more willing with their wallets and, a myriad of factors. And I think that kind of eats away at the whole idea of replayability in video games.
Well, now it's less weird too. Like it's more understood that kids play them. It's more understood as like a hobby somebody could have.
Yeah,
it's not
that's
just
true
like
too.
It's not like a diversion that's not going to catch on. Like it's established now that like kids are going to play multiple games and stuff. Like that's the parents' viewpoint, I think. Because like parents who were kids who grew up with video games now will get more games for their kids because they know what it meant to them.
Yeah,
as opposed to our parents who wouldn't really understand it as much.
Yeah, that's entirely possible as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird thing to think about, but it's probably true. But maybe it's because these games have no replayability and no secrets and stuff like that they aren't being replayed. But that's probably on purpose so that kids will get more games too.
Yeah, I think that kind of goes along with it. It's just that, like, you play through a game straightforward one time, you discover pretty much everything there's to discover. You're not going to replay it again if there's nothing else to get.
And hilariously, more adult games like Grand Theft Auto, they're filled with secrets and Easter eggs and stuff. Because those games are incredibly replayable, and it's all stuff that's like secrets and stuff to explore and discover. Even games like Deus Ex, which I've been replaying, guys, has a lot of things to find that aren't necessarily shoved in your face, and it might be because it's an adult game. So, like, I don't think it's like we're kind of talking as though the entire market is determined by children, but like in some games they just purposely don't put stuff in to make you want to buy the next one. But some games they want to make it. Any games that are like really game of the year material, there's like a lot of stuff that they don't exactly tell you that you can discover.
Yeah, going back to FTL, there's a million, bajillion, quadrillion secret things that I still haven't found everything in that game somehow. I've played it for a billion hours.
Yeah, there's still stuff we haven't unlocked. It's because it makes itself. If you didn't have a guide, how would you have gotten anything in that game?
Yeah, seriously.
Like without the internet, that game would be. If that game came out 10 years ago and there wasn't the internet, it'd be wildly popular because you'd have kids talking about it at school, being like, "Dude, there's a way to get a Mantis ship," and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Because when I was watching this Mario video, the person was upset because they told him they basically showed in like an inventory screen an item they were going to get later, and it bothered them because it was no longer a secret to them.
Yeah.
And there's always stuff like that now where like just it kind of teases you in a way that maybe discourages you from exploring and discovering and encourages you to just plow through games in order to get something. Like you see something cool and you're like, I got to get that now. Like this is what I want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I mean, I don't mean to sound the cynic, but like I feel like so much of everything is so calculated nowadays that like, you have like a big fat video game producer guy and he's like, "Yeah, take away all the wonder out of video games. That'll show the kids."
I'm a little worried that it's not a joke. Like I think it might be the real way things are happening.
Yeah, like I mean, like I feel like that's the same way it is a lot of cases with like movies and stuff too. But that's just me.
I think it is. Like I don't want to sit here and blame the economy or whatever, but it might be a real part of it, which sucks.
Yeah, it's bleak times, guys.
Guys, we're glad that we could cheer you up with this incredible episode about how everything's great.
Yeah. You can pretend that episode wasn't awesome, but it was.
So we're going to encourage you to tell us how much your life was improved by us by sending us emails.
Yeah, just send us emails all the time, sonsofvidya@gmail.com.
Guys, we need you now more than ever to rate us on iTunes and comment on our YouTube videos.
And like our YouTube videos and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
And subscribe to this podcast if you haven't. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, come on.
We're not shoving these episodes down your throat. Get over yourself. Just press that button. Don't be a baby.
Don't be a baby.
Guys, just do it.
Let's do it. And because you are going to do that, because we have faith in you, we're going to reward you preemptively by giving you some speed reviews. Tom, this is the top 10 games of all time according to GameFAQs top 10 list board. Number 10, Final Fantasy VII.
Final Fantasy VII's game we play is Crowd Striff, a man who's doing a Zack Fair impression, and then something else happens. I don't know. It gets 0 out of 10. Final Fantasy IX.
Final Fantasy IX is the 9th time that you played as Cloud Striff, and he's doing a Zac Brown impression, and people don't like that game because you play Zac Brown. I'll see. Gets a 7 out of 10. Number 8, GoldenEye 007.
GoldenEye is a game where you play as this man who, whenever he touches something with his eyeball, it turns to gold. Expect many golden contacts. 9 out of 10. Super Metroid.
Super Metroid is the sequel to Metroid. Gets a 1 out of 10. 6, Portal.
Portal is a game where you make a bunch of funny cake jokes and everybody laughs. I made a sequel. It's called Portal 2, and guess what? The pie is a joke. All right, 10 out of 10. Final Fantasy VI.
Final Fantasy VI is the one that everyone likes. That's not Final Fantasy VII because it's got clowns and it's funny. And everyone likes clowns. I assume it's a carnival based. So it gets a 10 out of 10. Number 4, Final Fantasy. Man, a lot of Final Fantasy games. Final Fantasy Tactics.
Final Fantasy Tactics rules. It's like one of the best tactic games of all time. Everyone should play it. 10 out of 10. The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past.
Tom really likes this game, so I'm not going to say anything bad about it. 10 out of 10. Number 2, Chrono Trigger.
Chrono Trigger is awesome. Okay, yeah. Is it number 2 of all time? Maybe. It's really good. 10 out of 10. Super Mario Brothers 3.
This isn't Super Mario World.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, come on, guys.
Let's grow up.
Get on it. Guys, we did it
that.
once again.
We did it.
We're going to see you next week, and we hope that you're great then, too.
Bye.
Bye.